So, this is the most biased, personal, just completely me pick, but that's the point of these videos, I guess. All in. It's all in. If I was to sit down and go, star rating for this one, I could probably come up with a couple of better shows, maybe. I could probably sit down and try and be objective, but that's extremely boring to me. So I'm just going to pick the show I had the best time with, and it was the one I was at. It was all in. Vibes coming out the ass. It was tremendous. Starting off with the greatest 3.5-star match of all time, Dave Meltzer. Look, I'm not usually one to rag on Dave for his star ratings, because who cares? It's just one man's opinion, but that was mental. Yeah. This was one of the best things I've ever seen.
So great.
Samoa Joe doing a Hulk up, doing a wanker sign. What better vibes could you possibly have? All throughout the night, it was just fun after fun after fun after fun. Yeah, the build sucked, and yeah, Kenny Omega should have been in a singles match, but on the night, I could not care about any of that. I couldn't even care about CM Punk fighting Jack Perry. It was filtered through like 5 minutes after this thing ended, because I was just having a whale of a time sitting in the stand with Adam Nicholas and Phil Chambers, talking a load of rubbish, coming up with a very unique version of Judas which will never be repeated on camera, and just having a great time. The only bummer was watching my guys, the House of Black, lose. Come on, man, you gotta give a big babyface victory. Why are you having a bunch of heels like the Acclaimed win in Wembley? Doesn't make any damn sense. Chris Jericho performed out of his skin, once again defying the critics in a big match. Even the main event in a storyline that I don't typically enjoy, that makes me want to wash my eyes out with Vindaloo every single week when I watch it on TV. Even that in the building was awesome. Yeah. It was fun, big theatre, sports entertainment silliness before it completely jumped the shark forever at Full Gear. A great vibe across the board. One of my favourite openers of all time. Main card, 0 hour, all of that stuff. Fantastic, it's all in.
So as far as WrestleManias go, WrestleMania 39 was really bloody good. I would have probably said, if they'd ended this Cody story and Cody had won at the end with a big feel-good moment, I probably would have said WrestleMania 39 was the best WrestleMania of all time. But if you look at specific nights, night 1 of WrestleMania 39, you really couldn't ask for more. It was kind of a perfect show, with the exception of probably the opening match, the John Cena Austin Theory match. It was a little bit underwhelming probably, but it was fine. Like, it wasn't bad in any way, shape or form. You had the insane 4-way tag team match that was just so much fun and so much action constantly. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul was far better than Logan Paul ever has any right to be. Trish Stratus and Lita teaming with Becky Lynch against Damage Control was really good fun. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic was incredible. Dominic's entrance alone is probably worth it for me on this spot. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair, they just went out there and kicked the absolute crap out of each other. We had the surprise of Pat McAfee beating The Miz, which was a lot of fun, and then that main event that was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with all of their history dating back decades now through the Ring of Honor days and everything, being able to come together to not only headline a WrestleMania together, main event a WrestleMania together, but do it and win the tag team championships together at the main event of WrestleMania, elevating those tag team belts like more so than they ever have been before, like dating back even to the sort of Edge and Christian versus the Hardys kind of days. It was just such a perfect show. It was feel good throughout the board. Lots of different matches that you didn't get bored of one type because there was always something else. And throw into that the fact that we were actually able to be there in person, live in that crowd, which is always just absolutely amazing. WrestleMania is just the best. It was just such a great show. Loved every minute of it. Best show of 2023.
But I'm sure people are going to say there was some great pay-per-views or premium live events this year. I was lucky enough to be in attendance for WrestleMania 39. You guys got to go to All In, of course. Wrestle Dreams right up there. But they all had low moments. They all had a little bit of lulls. You know, you had Shane McMahon coming out of WrestleMania 39, actually. That turned out to be a real high point, actually. You had Chris Jericho channeling Freddie Mercury. Again, maybe I'm just annoyed that I wasn't in attendance. Thanks, Eric. But in terms of something that never misses, it's the weekly television of NXT, right? Because it's sensational. It is the best wrestling show of the week because it doesn't just have wrestling, right? What am I watching that for? It's got banter coming out of his arse. Look at him, Von Wagner.
Boy,
I shouldn't need to say anything else. Von Wagner has become one of the What Culture officers' favourite guys in 2023.
Not the whole office.
Some of the What Culture officers' favourite guy in 2023. Look, genuinely, you've got some sensational people down in NXT. You've got Carmelo Hayes, who I, in my opinion, I thought had one of the best matches of the year with Ilya Dragunov, and I didn't go into that second match between the two of them with a great deal of hope for that, if I'm perfectly honest. You've got the rise of people like Trick Williams. You've got Bird Person becoming NXT Women's Champion. What? Why aren't you watching this show? What are you doing with your life? You've got new teams coming through like OTM and Hank and Tank. Great. I want to see more of those guys on television. And then you've got people who have just really blossomed in 2023. Genuinely, people like your Wesleys or your Tiffany Strattons who are just ready and just waiting to go up to the main roster and shine. And I think the case that really showcases how great NXT has actually been this year is all the main roster stars coming crawling back, didn't they? Oh, we don't like it on Raw and SmackDown because they suck. It's because NXT's the best. Welcome back, well, not back, but welcome Dirty Dom, Baron Corbin, Becky Lynch. Loved her coming down to NXT for a short while. The streak that NXT is on, I genuinely get giddy on a Tuesday night when I remember, oh, it's NXT tonight, and I get to see Von pop over to Robert Stone's for the Thanksgiving tea, and he's going to bring brownies. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention arguably two of the greatest tag team title reigns of all time, in my opinion. The Family have won the tag titles twice this year, and we got to see that storyline. Sorry, I know I'm going on here. That storyline where Tony D got sent to prison, right?
Was dire.
Was, I think, Oscar worthy, and I'm just going to put that out there. Stax holds a very special place in my heart. Friend of the show. I love The Family. I love NXT. And if Shawn Michaels doesn't get Booker of the Year, it is a travesty.
Yeah, I'm not putting it.
Best wrestling show of 2023. I'm not actually going to give you the answer. I would probably give it to WrestleMania Night 1. I mean, I was lucky to be there too, which always helps. Maybe closely followed by All In for different reasons, but being there live. But other members of What Culture have already taken it. But that's good, because it means I actually get to sit down and think about this properly. And I believe that in terms of shows that surprised me the most, I'm going to throw two in there, is the Elimination Chamber and the Royal Rumble. But I'm going to put the Elimination Chamber a bit higher, because on paper, people would describe the Elimination Chamber as a B show, or a B pay-per-view, or a B premium live event, which it always has been. It happens just before WrestleMania. You don't ever expect to see a world title change. But because it was in Canada, and because Sami Zayn had gotten so over and he was so popular, people actually thought and then got mad when he didn't win the Universal Championship from Roman Reigns. Think how much stuff we have done with our tribal chief since February, and people still look back and go, no man, Sami should have won on that night, even if it was for 2 weeks. You take that record that Roman now has and you throw it out the window just to give Zayn his moment. Now, I wouldn't have been against that at all. I don't think the title run record means much to anything, although it is cool and Roman Reigns deserves it. You know, he's really, really good at what he does. But it was such an amazing show, to the point even I tuned in going, oh my gosh, this may actually happen. Do you know what I mean? I was able to suspend my disbelief and go, well, maybe, just maybe, but no, but what if? And as soon as you do that, as soon as you have that, what's the word I'm looking for, sort of nugget of doubt, you've won, and you've got a great professional wrestling match. And I can't even remember what else was on that show, but it's irrelevant, because the main event held up the entire card, and the atmosphere was electric, and Sami Zayn did feel like the biggest babyface ever, and then you got all the shenanigans at the end, and you felt disappointed. And I've said this too, you want to walk away from most wrestling events feeling happy, because it's meant to be an entertaining show. But there are many books and many movies and many songs that you listen to that are designed to be tragic. William Shakespeare loved this. My gosh, good old Will. He loved making you cry. And it was the same with this. So I was glad that WWE did it, which also ties into the Royal Rumble, because you had the big Kevin Owens Roman Reigns match, and then after that they're beating up Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn turns. Once again, it was just for that moment alone. It made the show feel absolutely amazing. And then within the space of 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it was, Sami Zayn is challenging Roman Reigns. Him and Kevin Owens are getting back together. That then leads on to WrestleMania. They win the championships. It was just an amazing 4 months that culminated on that night one. So, yeah, all of those premium live events, did the wiggle, were just fantastic. And maybe the hottest that WWE has been in ages. Now, they're absolutely still riding that wave, but that truly did feel like an exciting time. To the point, I'll probably go back and watch Elimination Chamber 2023 at some point, and we can go 2022, 21, 2019, 18, 17, 16, and go back until it begins. Am I going to watch any of them? Maybe for retro ups and downs, but that's about it.
It was WWE Backlash stage.
Yeah!
And if it wasn't WWE Backlash, it was any number of the loads and loads of WWE shows you're going to hear about on this video. All in at Wembley was pretty good too. What an atmosphere. We talked non-stop at the time, and it's great to celebrate as we get to the end of the year, considering that it took place in April. There's often a bit like a recency bias. Puerto Rico made for Backlash a kind of proving of this new location-specific B-show thing that WWE do to fantastic effect. Obviously, especially with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest's street fight, but also for Zelina Vega's big moment, maybe a career moment for her, even defeat against Rhea Ripley, and just a really good follow-up from a WrestleMania ended with all of this concern amongst the Fed family that Vince McMahon was going to just come back and ruin it. Kind of like the end of WrestleMania and a dreadful post-WrestleMania Raw with everything that happened to Cody Rhodes over that 48-hour period just made you feel like the bad times were back, and then Backlash was a flat pushback of that feeling. And what a feeling it was, like I say, like a crowd that were just fully invested. Yeah. That magnetic sort of Bad Bunny entrance that you could watch over and over and over again and never get bored of seeing. And a card that felt like it was just reminding you that the power was definitely back, even if Cody's road was going to take a little bit longer to recover. It was the weakest of the Cody Rhodes-Brock Lesnar matches, in truth, but now I think it holds up more, seeing how that story paid off. I want wrestling, whether it's the best in the world, whether it's daft cartoon stuff, whether it's celebrity stuff, to be as hot as it was that night in Backlash. It's things that I will remember more than even 4.5-star classics. I can think of one 3.5-star classic I remember from this year. But great wrestling is everywhere, and it is right now the least of my concerns. Backlash does not have really an in-ring classic to its name, but it itself is a classic show. That, I think, is what I want more of in 2024, and it was the perfect summary of what I loved in 2023.
So the absolute best wrestling show of 2023 in my mind, well, alright, yeah, I'm not going to mess around here. The obvious answer would have been this, of course, but a lot of people will say that from the UK this year because it was unbelievable. It was just a massive moment that a lot of us never thought we'd get to see. So the fact that we did, it'll always have a special place in our hearts. That's a given. But if you're going to go maybe a little bit outside the box, like another show that also went down in the UK this year, WWE's Money in the Bank, for me that was awesome as well. I got to watch it at a normal time. I wasn't there, sadly. It was a hot ticket. It was the hottest ticket in the town at the time, so I just couldn't get anywhere near it. But I did watch it at home. I love what I saw. It broke my heart that LA Knight didn't win the Money in the Bank ladder match. That was something that will always grind my gears. But everything else delivered. It was WWE at their best, really, from this year. For me, it feels like WWE peaked at Money in the Bank this year. Everything after that has always just been a bit there's been some good moments, but a lot of ugh. Whereas Money in the Bank, non-stop, the full card it all had its moments, didn't it, really? Both of the Money in the Bank ladder matches delivered, and then some. They were ambitious, they were innovative, a lot of creative moments within them. You had that Logan Paul Ricochet flipping spot, and then Io Sky won with the handcuff stuff. It was that was fantastic. Then you had Gunther Riddle, which was fine, a decent match, but then you had Drew McIntyre's returns. That was a massive moment. John Cena teasing WrestleMania in the UK, that cheeky scamp. You had the biggest heel versus the biggest babyface in the Cody versus in the company is the words I'm going to try and get out of my mouth right now. I just get so excited when I talk about Money in the Bank. Cody versus Dum Dum, that did what it needed to do. That was a fun match. It felt like a little bit of a house show match, but that's fine when you're in this kind of rampant, crazy atmosphere that was inside of the O2 that night. And then you had the women's tag team match. The tag team title match was probably the most notable women's tag team title match ever, really, outside of WrestleMania 35, just for a massive moment. You had the Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler big heel turn moment within that, which was, wow, nobody saw that coming. That was jaw-dropping. And then the Bloodline Civil War as well, that main event, which the crowd were just going mad for. Nearly hijacked the damn thing, but we love to see it. And that was, again, I think that was the peak of the Bloodline story for me at this point, whether they do something else later down the line. But right now, in this moment in time, I feel like that was where it reached its high point. It's all kind of been a bit downhill from there. So Money in the Bank, for me, you can't say it was like one of the most underrated pay-per-views of the year, because a lot of people did adore it at the time and loved it and thought it was epic. But I think looking back, it's just aged incredibly well, because if you look at the PLEs in particular after that, they just weren't as strong. So for me, that is I will salute that one as my favourite pay-per-view, my best wrestling show of 2023. And just another extra salute for the crowd, because we brought it and we definitely upset some people with our chants. Yeah!
So loads of honourable mentions, because AEW did in fact have an absolutely phenomenal year on pay-per-view. It was tremendous. I'm going to be like really boring and sorry, Murray, a little bit objective. That's only to try and sort of like process of elimination this go round. In terms of the killer to filler ratio, the great matches, the great range, the great atmosphere, for me it was AEW Revolution. I think AEW might have even peaked higher. I thought ZSJ Danielson at Wrestle Dream was the match of the year at time of recording. But something about Revolution just was awesome. There's always one match that you kind of go, oh yeah, I forgot about this. And there was only one match, there's usually one or two. But mostly it was just fantastic. Like the range on this show and the peaks it hit were just unbelievable. Like Christian Cage, like doing this like thesis of heel work where he just wrestled like a rat. He's like the anti-get your shit in wrestler, and he couldn't have done more to like get a proper babyface reckoning over. And you got that wonderful theatre with the coffin drop. The Elite versus House of Black was just one of the best trios matches you'll ever see. Just crackled with electricity, just unbelievable stuff. And that Texas Death Match was harrowing. It was thought to be the most violent match in mainstream American wrestling history until they got outdone later in the year. But I really want to put over that main event between MJF and Bryan Danielson, not only because does it deserve to get put over in and of itself, but I think a lot of people could do with kind of remembering it. There's a lot of hate, criticism directed towards MJF in the latter half of the year, and some of it is warranted, but like that was just, I would class that as a masterpiece of the form. In the last 10 minutes after this absolutely wonderful match, like with so many mint touches, like doing a jumping tombstone on a table that had been destroyed already was such a great plunder spot, because it felt like an improvised intra-match strategy where it's like, well, I will do that, but it's just revealed itself to me as an opportunity that was just so beautifully arranged. The last 10 minutes, right, like they were barely even fighting and the fans were so into it. After 50 minutes that they were saying fight forever, they were selling. They weren't even locked in combat. They just had this wonderful, perfect Iron Man match, the pacing of which was just absolutely incredible. And this is going to be really pretentious. I don't care. I've got that reputation at this point, thoroughly earned, by the way. Like there was lots of comparisons. Again, this has been a little bit of a bugbear, and I know people are just taking the piss between wrestling and cinema, right? In 2023, okay? The finish to that match was genuinely like prestige TV drama level twist work, right? It felt like MJF had completely run out of time. Danielson had excelled in the match, in the story, as the superior professional wrestler. And it felt like in his first pay-per-view title defense, no less, where it was like, yeah, they're going with MJF over the long haul. You can suspend your disbelief to a point, but they're going to go with him. In the last 10 minutes, you thought, well, it's Danielson. How can MJF possibly win when he's been out-wrestled and he's run out of time and they did overtime? And that oxygen tank gimmick, right, which is only introduced to help MJF after the match, was... I'm sorry, it was kind of like a Breaking Bad tier twist. All those episodes you watched of Breaking Bad where it was like, how on earth is Walter White going to get out of this? And you know you've got 2 seasons left, so you know he does, be like, well how? Then the writing on that show in terms of those moments was absolutely outrageously clever, and I thought that twist was like wrestling's equivalent of that. Like, how's he going to win? I thought it was a masterwork, and the show itself was genuinely awesome.
For the best show of the year, I'm going to be that guy that goes a little bit different. You can keep your AEWs, you can keep your WWEs, your New Japan Pro Wrestlings. I'm going to go a little bit different than just go. I'm going to be the guy that shows some love to Impact Wrestling. And I'm going to be a guy who shows some love to Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory 2023, because man, what a hell of a pay-per-view that was. from top to bottom, it was an absolutely stacked, really fun card. Not a bad match on the pay-per-view. There was a lot of great matches, and there was some genuine top tier. One in particular, you know the one, match of the year candidate. It started really hot with Chris Sabin defending the X Division title against Kenta of all people. Great way to open the pay-per-view, like any pay-per-view ever. That would be an awesome opener. But then you had like the Bonkers Monsters Ball won by PCO, where PCO, there was the visual of him with the tag stuck in the back of his head. There was Chris Bay and Exhausted winning the tag team titles from the Rascals, which, not a decision I was particularly behind at the time, but the match itself was really, really good. And you had that properly enjoyable Call Your Shot gauntlet. Jordan Grace won it. Always nice to see Matt Cardona pop up in something with Impact, so that was cool. As a nice little surprise entrant in that. And then you had the first ever singles match ever. They've been involved in matches together before, but not a singles match between Trinity and between Mickie James, which was... It was just, again, Trinity showing how great she is in Impact Wrestling. Mickie James is always the gold standard, that's a shit on Benjamin quote, but she's always like that bar, that she is the measuring stick. And this was it was kind of like a nice passing of a torch as well, with another excellent match. Then you had Josh Alexander challenging Alex Shelley in the main event for the Impact World title that Josh Alexander never lost, which in itself was a great story. It was Shelley's biggest test of his reign, and it was really great pro wrestling great pro wrestling action and great pro wrestling storytelling between two determined babyfaces, two great babyfaces who were there to win and put their bodies on the line. Absolutely fantastic match. But then, of course, the show stealer, it was Will Ospreay, it was Speedball, Mike Bailey, and this was a genuine match of the year candidate, and another example why both men are very much in the conversation for being the best wrestler in the world right now. A lot of people will say Will Ospreay, and that's great because it probably is Will Ospreay, but if you're not watching Impact, don't sleep on Speedball Mike Bailey. He's just so good, so good. That excellent as well. The hour match with Josh Alexander he had. Oof. But yeah, just don't be sleeping on Impact Wrestling, man, or TNA Wrestling as it is being rebranded as in 2024. And if you're looking for a reason as to why you should give the new TNA a chance, all you need to do is go back and check out 2023's Bound for Glory pay-per-view. Just really good stuff.